The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning. I'm Nico Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced and natural wild world.
That's right, Nico. To recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. I'm Paige Clarke, and I hope you're having a good morning.
Yeah, it's a beautiful morning here. 75 degrees, partly cloudy, going up to about low 80s today. So
Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung. Come on down and visit us, folks. It's a beautiful, beautiful weather down here.
Hey, make sure you pick up our Health Signals newsletter news you can use in a great format. We kind of scan the internet for articles that really help you stay healthy. And while you're at it, pick up our Primal Edge, daily nutrition powered by nature's miracle molecules, fulvic and humic acid, so you can get the good stuff in.
And get the bad stuff out. And I wanted to remind you, a great article about can a Western diet permanently alter the immune system? The answers are in the Health Signals newsletter, so please pick that up. So today I'd like to go to an article that I was reading, you know, how the news puts spins on different things all the time. And this article is entitled, and it's by the Business Insider, Jeremy Burke wrote this, How Eating Meat Creates a Dead Zone the Size of New Jersey in the Gulf of Mexico every year.
You made an interesting comment before we get into the article, how you always have to take the spin off.
Yeah, because headlines are there to kind of just perk your interest, and so it has a certain slant to it.
Perk your interest or create a programming to think a certain way.
Sure.
That what you and I see over and over again is this guilt, this suggestion that we need to save the planet, we need to stop eating the animal proteins, and I think that we all understand there's a lot of abuse in that industry.
No doubt about it, yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
However, I think it's partly setting up for this idea that there's going to be food shortages and to get people to be eating other things.
Well, certainly the manufacturers, too, have a problem with stuff that gets spoiled fast. It costs a lot of money. You got refrigeration and transport and everything. And we see most of this happening along the Mississippi River, naturally, because this is where we can ship from. And this is where the rail lines come. This is where the pipelines come to. Right. And this is where a lot of the growing areas are for some of the crops. What I wanted to bring out in this article is a lot of the types of headlines that they put in here. These little mini headlines: eating meat contributes to an ongoing ecological disaster in the Gulf of Mexico, where sea life gets suffocated in a dead zone the size of New Jersey. Another one.
Yeah, another one. Nutrient pollution from intensive agriculture washes into the Gulf of Mexico via the Mississippi River, causing phytoplankton blooms. And as these phytoplanktons decompose, huge portions of the Gulf get starved of oxygen.
Yeah, and then there's another one saying, beyond killing sea life, the Gulf of Mexico dead zone has disastrous ramifications for the area's economic engines, its fisheries. And although all this is true, the headline really states how eating meat creates this. And it's actually how they do their job that creates it, how they feed the animals.
Like we've been saying, it's not inherently the food we eat, it's what we do to the food we eat along the processing stage.
Yeah, they have a term for this. The process is called eutrophication.
Yeah.
And this is where the agricultural runoff, including fertilizer, animal waste, gets dumped into the rivers and ends up in the ocean. The runoff contains nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen that are the essential building blocks of life. So while this ecosystem is going on there. They're overfeeding the Mississippi
Well, yeah,
River.
they need a steady supply of nutrients. Yes, these nutrients, but it's about balance, and they're not in the right balances.
True.
And this can actually lower the oxygen content and kill the native species and make this entire area uninhabitable. So that is a concern.
And also, of course, the concern is what they're feeding the animals, and we often talk about that. Here we're talking about the soy and the corn and whatever else they're feeding these animals. And of course, we're talking also about factory farms, because if you have a normal farm in your area that's raising cows on grass, this problem doesn't exist.
Here's a stat for you. 36% of the corn raised in the U.S. goes to feed chickens and cows used for meat. This is according to the New Republic report. Folks, well, what have we been saying here? We don't want to eat the animal foods that have been eating the soy and the corn.
Right. Of course,
Because
both of those things are GMO.
They're GMO, and they're not those creatures' natural food.
That's the big thing, isn't it?
You know, it just always gets my goat when I'm when I'm in the grocery store and I see vegetarian eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Fed a vegetarian diet. Since when did a chicken become a vegetarian? They're not. They're carnivores.
Unless you force them
They
to.
like bugs. Well, yeah. Unless you force them to. Like, doesn't that sort of sound like what they're trying to force us to?
Well, it certainly
Well,
is.
you know.
Certainly does.
So,
And, you know, all these nutrients that they're talking about is the result of the growing of the corn and the soy and the other things we're growing on massive scales. And remember, we're also using a lot of pesticides in those because all these GMO corn and soy and all the other things, rapeseeds that they're using, these have been injected with a GMO product that has a pesticide in it. And then that leaves them to liberally spray pesticides on this stuff, and the product itself won't be harmed. It's just the other stuff and whatever blows in the wind gets
so let's
harmed.
look at the bigger picture. Why are we trying to suggest that humans shouldn't be eating their natural diet, and instead think about the unnatural things we're doing to the food supply, and point the finger where give credit where credit's due, and point the finger at blame where it's due, right?
For sure.
I mean, it makes sense to me because, I mean, this is heartbreaking when you read an article like this and it goes into the detail of how the bacteria use up the oxygen, consuming the dead phytoplankton. The seafloor gets slowly suffocated. The different densities between layers of cooler, saltier water on the seafloor and warmer, fresher water on the surface. Blah, blah, blah. At a certain point, the oxygen levels go so low on the seafloor that they can no longer support any sort of life.
And here's the map showing the size of that off of the New Orleans coast and Louisiana and Texas coast. And that does happen. It may even be larger than that.
And is that what it is, or is it all that Corexit stuff we put in there when we had the Gulf oil spill? You know, what's really going on?
Well, that's in there too, for sure. But this is the steady onslaught of the nutrients going down the Mississippi that ends up at the base of the Mississippi River in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's where this dead zone is. And that's something that we don't agree with. So if we switch it around and start thinking about local eating from local farmers that are eating their natural food, this problem goes away. And that's the way I think this problem should go away, not stop eating meat, because then you're still having the agricultural problems no matter what. They're just feeding it more to us.
Let's clean up what we're doing, not change our natural diet. What do you think? Give us some info
folks.
In the chat room. We'll be right back after this break.
So Primal Edge, folks.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back to the show, folks. I want to switch to an article I saw here about zombie-like raccoons. Police probe calls about strange animals acting in daylight. And I saw several articles, too, about different geese acting. And this reminded me of the article the other day that I saw that they think birds now can see ley lines of the Earth. Actually visual.
They have magnetic. It's in the...
Yeah, before the scientists often thought it was the nose that directed the geese, and because there was a little bit more iron.
The beak, right, yeah. But it's not.
But it's not. It's the visual, and they can actually see ley lines. And I'm just wondering, because they talk about geese, they talk about all different birds all over the world. Running into walls, things like that. So looking up at the sky, looking up at the sun, trying to figure out what's going on because there's something different going on. Raccoons, deer, all kinds of things.
I think I point out quite frequently that there's something different going on in the sky. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see it. I mean, if you look up, you can't help but not see what's going on. So listen what this says. Youngstown, Ohio residents are speaking out about seeing zombie-like raccoons sauntering through a northeast Ohio town. The raccoons would stand up on their hind legs, show its teeth, then fall over backwards and go into almost a comatose condition. This was numerous sightings, and the townspeople had suggested the raccoons are suffering from distemper, a viral disease that affects canines and other animals such as foxes and skunks.
Yeah, rabies was also discussed in the article too.
But let's take it a step further. What else do we see?
Well, yeah, this is another article that's it's titled "Rabies Vaccine to be Airdropped Over Portions of Northeast Ohio."
Did you hear that, folks? Rabies vaccine is to be airdropped.
So
look at that little fella. So we see that CBS News announced that they were going to be aerosol dropping vaccines. Maybe you should think about whether or not we're getting aerosol vaccines dropped on us when you look up in your skies. If you actually take the time to do that, you can't help but see what's going on. So maybe very much what's going on is they're using the skies to vaccinate without authorization animals and people.
Well, it just seems strange for me because having vaccinations in the sky means it's dropping on Earth. And if it's dropping on Earth, that means it's dropping on you and me, it's dropping in our water system, it's dropping on our flowers, our vegetation, our crops. So this, to me, doesn't seem like a good idea.
There's no better way to absorb a toxin or a nutrient than through inhalation through the lungs. And what do you think's happening? So again, Paris Township, Ohio. Federal agriculture officials plan to distribute rabies vaccine bait over parts of 3 northeast Ohio counties next week to prevent the spread of the virus.
Yeah, the United States Department of Agriculture used planes and helicopters to airdrop the oral rabies vaccine baits over parks. So this is not an aerosol, it's a bait that they drop, so that seems to be a little bit better. But then, of course, all the other animals can eat it too, and I don't know if it...
yeah, it says it's coded to attract raccoons, foxes, and coyotes, and they are about the size of a matchbox. And they said they were doing this after 2 raccoons found near Paris Township, showed their teeth. So really, we don't know which one is the chicken before the egg.
Well, that's true too. But I'm thinking of kids picking this up, putting it in their mouth because they put everything in their mouth. I just don't think it's a good way to distribute. And maybe they're localizing it. It really doesn't say.
Yeah, it says health officials say anyone who finds the baits should leave them alone unless they are in the area where children or pets play. In that case, use gloves. While the baits are not harmful to pets. But this, folks, really begs the question of medications and pesticides and vaccinations and sprayings and without the concern for how it impacts the whole environment. And
well, not only that, nobody's captured one of these animals and tested it to see if it has rabies or leads to distemper at all. So that hasn't happened. So they're just guessing here, saying, well, maybe it's this, let's throw this at them. And it might be a nicely government-funded project for some company that's making a pretty good buck off of it. Maybe that's the deal. I don't know what it is. But they do hand these, and I was in the pest control business for years, and we did get contracts like this to spray the Everglades and do all kinds of bait stations and bird aversions, and these contracts were always really good. Once you get a contract from a government, during that next term, you're usually in like Flint.
Yeah.
You usually keep getting them. So when I was in that business, I was always after these county and state things to get. They were easy, they were fast. Nobody was looking over your shoulder to see if the job is done. Those types of things. That's what goes on.
We've got some comments in the chat room here. Someone posted up the oral rabies vaccinations, Ohio Department of Health, January 30th, 2018. The effect created a barrier of immune animals that reduced animal cases and prevented the spread of raccoon rabies into the rest of Ohio. The vaccine-laden baits are dropped by fixed-wing aircraft on a low-flying helicopter in rural areas, were distributed by hand and from vehicles in urban neighborhoods. Yeah,
we're still guessing whether it's distemper or rabies or whatever. But, so they're trying to take some measures. I would say capture one of these things and see what it's really got. A lot of things in the news with the grand solar minimum, and the sky's looking different. I saw a website, and here's a good website for you. It's called thewatchers.news. And this is really a type of website that you would go to find out things about health concerning the weather and the state of the planet.
Yeah, the Watchers.
The Watchers. So
well, here's an article. Are we going to go to this article on the Watchers? The health or the study suggests the modern grand solar minimum in 2020 to 2053. This is from that article, The Watchers. And the theoretical astrophysicist Valentina Zarkova, lead author of the study that reproduced the summary curvature of solar activity for the last 3,000 years and predicted the modern grand solar minimum, recently spoke of the grand solar minimum and explained that she and her fellow scientists learned while studying our star.
The sun. Yeah, she's well respected, and she's one of the scientists that discovered earthquakes, sunquakes. And so she's definitely, doing due diligence on the sun.
She says that the facts were right in front of them and that she is quite confident in their results. She says, quote unquote, in 5 to 10 years, we're going to see who's right.
Yeah. The reduced solar activity could possibly cause a mini ice age similar to the modern minimum in just about 15 years, but starting as soon as next year. The forecasting model has shown to be 97% accurate when mapping the past movements of sunspots using the data of the solar cycles, and this is the data that the modders used during the modern minimum. Now, modern minimum started in the 1600s.
I think you got to clarify that word, the modern minimum, not modern. I think people
modder is the name of the couple.
M-A-U-D-E-R. Yeah, they were the couple that identified this. There's a great interview in here with Valentina Zarkova.
Yes, it will be going in the next
I think put it in the next newsletter because in this thing, they, without fear-mongering or mean-spirited remarks towards the people that still believe that we're in a global warming trend, which is not what the evidence is showing, they lay out some great facts. So I think that's worth taking a look at. And,
yeah, it certainly
is. What these experts are predicting
and
for
she's been predicting this for the last maybe 2 decades, talking about this. So she's right on the front page of this. Stick around, folks. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Pick up some Primal Edge during the break, please. Only $88 gets it to your door every single month, and this is what you need to stay healthy during these trying times. So we'll be right back.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's Nadex.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back. So there's no doubt that we have climate change. It just isn't what they've been telling you. And we're entering a period of global cooling. And researchers are saying we're going to have to come up with new ways of growing food. And why is this? This was a recent interview that was in Ag Web. This was also in thewatchers.com, a site we referenced for you guys. The president and CEO of Hackett Financial Advisors explains why he thinks our civilization will have to come up with new ways of growing food, or we should say raising food, remember?
Yes.
Over the next 5 years. He says things that are happening haven't happened in a long, long time, and it's just the very beginning.
Yeah, we have data, he says, that goes back to the 16 and 1800s from the ice core samples, tree rings, and from actually written testimony of the kind of problems that they had at that time.
Yeah, and he's not trying to be a doomist or gloomist, folks. It's called being a realist. That's not the modus operandi, he says, but the world we're heading into is a world of food scarcity and local famines. Are you going to be prepared?
Yeah, it's not going to be pleasant, he says. It's going to be a very difficult time. We're going to have to come up with new ways of growing things, and this is a more difficult environment that we're going into. And of course, what he's talking about is the grand solar minimum, and if you look back in history of the 1600s, the growing seasons were shortened quite a bit. The growing areas were moved quite a bit. So imagine your growing area, you're in Missouri or you're in Kansas, and now you have to go south 200, 300, 400 miles. And of course, this winter is the first winter where we've seen that extended winter going into April.
And I think Dave Dubine just had a video that came out this morning or yesterday about be prepared for cooler growing seasons, so cooler foods.
And just imagine now, normally we're getting cold November, sometimes a little bit October, so imagine if it comes a little, maybe 4 to 6 weeks earlier there. So now we're coming into April, maybe even in May we might have a little snow in the northern, but then it starts a little bit earlier also, and this is the way the grand solar minimum kind of begins. But slowly but surely over the next 5 years, you're going to see that we'll probably have one of those winter summers without a real summer. You might have just cold weather all year around. And this really does create a lot of problems. If you've been watching the news about agriculture, you've been seeing over and over again crops being destroyed by early snows, by being too cold in the growing area, by the farmers not being able to plant or not being able to
whole harvest being ruined. Folks, do yourself a favor, tune in, subscribe to Adapt 2030. Our good friend David Dubine, we'll need to get him on the show again.
Yep.
He keeps everyone, he's got a very well-watched video channel. His videos are short. News you can use to stay awake of what's really happening.
Another good one would be the Oppenheimer Ranch project, the Grand Solar Minimum. The Watchers is another one. So these are areas that you can actually get a little bit of different news than you can get from your 5 main things on the tube. And you're going to get a lot of different news talking really about what may affect you directly through food, agriculture, and what's happening on the sun now. It's a really good information. You might as well be prepared. You know, this is now going into more mainstream. More mainstream scientists are saying, I think we were wrong. We looked at it differently. Now we're going back and seeing the sunspots, and we know now from the sunspot count that we are definitely going into a minimum that is unusual. And all the correlations as far as how the stars line up, where the Earth is right now, what is happening to the weather as far as earlier snows, later snows. This is all the indication of a grand solar minimum. It's happened over and over again, about every 400 years. Some of these last only 50 years, but some of them, the last one, the modern minimum, actually was 2. They called it the Little Ice Age, was the modern minimum, and the mini ice age in the 1800s.
Yeah, but they're talking about this being, they're talking about this being bigger than any of those.
It's possible.
It's possible.
We don't know. It could be smaller,
Hey,
too.
if it's smaller, whether it's small or big, it still means we need to be mindful of what we can do to make sure we have sources of survival. This is not, you know, fear-mongering. This is called intelligence. It's an intelligence test.
It's called preparing.
Yeah, exactly, being prepared.
So what I want to say, too, is you need to have some kind of plan in action. All kinds of different things could be happening. It might be just mild cold weather and we are short on food. It might be just that simple. And that's not simple either, but it could be just
it
that.
has a snowball
but
effect.
usually during this time, a lot more volcanoes, and we are already seeing that. A lot more earthquakes.
More volcanic ash, more clouds, more darkening, affecting crops, yes.
You're seeing a lot of different things in the sky, like these big sprites. There was an article the other day in, I think it was in Hungary, that the sprites came early this year. And these sprites are little colorful sprites that go up in the air, and they usually see them 2 or 3 months from now, and now they're seeing them earlier. We see the northern lights in lower latitudes. People in Georgia have been seeing the northern lights. So all these things are accumulations of little things that we haven't seen in our generation, the kids' generation. None of these people have seen this. We haven't seen this only if we look back to some of these rock carvings. Can we see the people warning us? And, if you look at some of the ancient sites, they have depictions of comets coming in at a particular time. This is what happened 10,000 years ago. So there's warning signs everywhere, and I think we need to pay attention to them. Just in a matter of fact of let's get your act together and let's be healthy right now. This is a good time to be healthy, because when a bad flu season comes and you're not the one that gets the flu, that's a win-win situation right there.
All of the plagues that we had in the past were really, most of them happened during these grand solar minimum periods, or these periods.
And also big signs of violence. In other words, when people are disturbed, they can't get their food, they're going to try to get it any way they can.
Violence and illness.
We saw what happened in Puerto Rico.
Oh.
Now, we don't hear much.
Still horrific what's going on in Puerto Rico.
Oh, yes.
It's hard to believe this is a United States.
Yeah,
but there's
this proofs again that it's really not the United States. It's kind of the United States, but the other thing is Vanuatu. Now, this is where one of the largest volcanoes in the East Indies is located. They've had a lot of problems with volcanoes, and they're coming alive there, and people. They say this is about 1,000-fold worse than Puerto Rico in Vanuatu right now. It's an island, has a couple of volcanoes on it, and the people are going crazy, and there's a lot of looting. And this is what happens when people get into desperate situations. They go crazy, they're not of the right mind, and violence ensues. And this is what can happen. So we also need to think about not only the food, but how do we protect ourselves? Where is a safe area? Who can I trust? What family members are close to me? And what type of plans do you have if something happened tomorrow and all of a sudden the lights go out and now the food doesn't run? What's your plan? How much food do you have? Do you have 3 months, 6 months? Do you have a year? Or do you have just enough to get by today? These are questions that you need to answer, because this is coming.
And look at it as a community, your friends and your people. You can work together. I'm distracted because there's some very interesting comments in our chat room. Many of you watching the show can't see it, but our tigers and tigresses in our Tigers Den chat box have some real interesting information concerning Facebook, and Facebook is reconsidering their unsafe for community tags on pro-Trump type of tags. I think we need to realize that we've got a pretty corrupt media in terms of what's getting reported, and a lot of this is getting exposed. And there's a movie recommendation I see here, The Prisoner. It was a 50-year-old movie, and it's never been more relatable. Thanks for the share. The Prisoner.
We'll be right back, folks.
Be right back.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
No matter what kind of trader you are, 2018 is a great time to try out a subscription to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report. Whether you just plan on diversifying your portfolio with some exposure to gold and gold mining equities, or you're a gold bull that sees 2018 as the year of commodities, now is a great time to sign up for the Gold Report. Tom O'Brien publishes his Gold Report every Monday morning before the market opens and covers a variety of topics including gold, silver, platinum, copper, the XAU and HUI, the dollar, bonds, South African rand, as well as more than 20 of the most actively traded mining equities. Start your 2018 off with a bang and sign up for the Gold Report today. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. For all the details and to start your subscription right now, visit the front page of TFNN.com and you'll find the Gold Report under Investment Newsletters. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
You know, folks, it's not just the weather that's changing. We have a situation of the disappearing doctor. And how are mega mergers changing the business of medical care? Is the doctor in this new age of urgent care centers and retail clinics? That's not a simple question, nor does it have a simple answer, as primary care doctors become increasingly scarce. And I know this is true because more and more clinics are opening up with physician's assistants and nurse practitioners, and very rarely do you see the doctor anymore. The doctor is not in.
In fact, what they're talking about, too, is a lot of these companies like Walgreens are, instead of just prescriptions, now you're going to have a clinic in some of these places.
Yeah, and they're convenient. These clinics have better hours, you know, for busy professionals. Medical doctors are only open Monday through Friday for office hours, closed for 2-hour lunches. I mean, I don't know any doctor's office that isn't closed from 12 to 2, you know, so you can go into these urgent care centers, get seen, and be in and out.
Of course, this is a whole thing about doctors making less money because now you're part of a corporation and you're part of the herd kind of slave
General
mentality.
practitioner doctors really do not make the kind of income that they used to make, and that's why they're leaving in droves.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're a specialist, I mean, a dermatologist is probably the license to steal doctor profession. You know, if you're going to go to medical school, that's what you should do, because that one's just a write a check. But it's really going to, you know, again, we talk about how our society's changing. More and more people are realizing that they can get holistic care by working with people in the holistic world. And people are flocking to these retail clinics. Obviously, it's good for business. Walmart and CVS and the drugstore chains are opening it up, and the insurance companies are, you know, covering it. And many of them are staffed with nurse practitioners.
Right.
There's no doctor on site.
Right.
You
So
know,
is the doctor in? Well, he may be in, but he's not available.
Well, they don't have to be.
Right.
They don't have to be on site. They have to be there a certain amount. I don't know what the rules are in different states, but...
yeah, because everybody has their little script that they follow, you know, from the doctor or from the corporation. But, you know, I have some doctors that come to me for physical training and dentists, and what they're telling me now is, well, first of all, they say, I'd hate to be in my profession starting today.
Long
that's
hours
the first
and
thing.
low pay have transformed pediatric or family practices into unattractive options for many graduates and aspiring physicians.
Yeah, and the other thing they say is that if you don't own your building, then you're really losing out. They don't have the margins that they used to have, especially doctors. Well, I regress and go back to my physical therapist that works with me in performance training. She is a single practitioner. She does all the work, both the billing and everything like that. If you saw, I mean, she makes a decent living, definitely. And you know, if
and she gets referrals.
And she gets referrals, so she bills somebody $280 for a visit for an hour, and she spends the whole hour with
But she
them.
doesn't get $280.
No, she gets the 80.
Yeah.
The $200 is the managed care part of it. And then if for some reason they find something later on and turn the client down, whoops, you've already done the work, that's too bad. You know, well, you get approval ahead of time, but then they may turn you down afterwards. And then who loses? She can't get that money from that client most of the time. There's a few that do pay her, say, you know, but they say, hey, that's your problem. Also, all the regulations, and there are a lot with Medicare and Medicaid and all these things, they have all these standards that they have to. I mean, we have signs in our office, no guns allowed. Every exit has to be marked. Every bathroom has to be marked. Everything has to be locked up according, and she's very afraid if she ever gets audited and one thing is out of step, she could be out.
Yeah.
When we moved from a location just next door, Medicare holds back her pay for 6 months. Now, a large corporation maybe can absorb this. So now for 6 months, from the time we moved in October till...
And you moved right next door.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter where you move. It's just held back for 6 months in case of fraud. They want letters going there and coming back for 6 months, and then all of a sudden the pay will come.
I mean, more and more people are dropping Medicare like flies. Practitioners just don't want to be part of the government system. More and more people are leaving the Obamacare debacle and looking at other alternatives like Liberty Health Share, ways that you can share, people can share. You know, there's nothing more tribal than something like Liberty Health Share or the Christian ministries, where people are pooling their money, cutting out the middleman of the insurance company. Listen to this, though, Nico. This is interesting. So a lot of doctors, by opening clinics to compete with urgent care centers, for example, this Dr. Carl Olden practiced in Washington State, he was able to retain his patients and move some walk-ins into the fold. And the relationship between the patients and doctors are changing. And so many people, apart from true emergency situations, patients' expectations now reflect their larger 24/7 insta-culture of wanting everything now. And so when he started to see people leaving to go to urgent care centers, he remodeled his practice into more like an urgent care center. And they set up similar clinics 3 years ago, including one right across the street from their main office in a shopping center. And this way they were not only able to retain their patients, but they could then access electronic health records for those off-site visits. And many people would come in to urgent care centers that don't even have a primary care physician, so we were able to move them into our practice. Many people, you know, are not utilizing, they're building their own teams and not really utilizing a primary care physician, building their own teams of specialists.
Yeah, something that's going to have to happen too is the records need to go to the patient. So in other words, you're the one that carries the records, and you can have the doctor download it or use it while you're there, but then you keep it. And I think this is the way of the future, and this is the way it should be. I don't want the government, I don't want a corporation having my health records.
Well, this is what's happening. You know, the big governments, they're partnering, Humana and Walmart, CVS and Aetna, blah, 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 blah. CVS and United Healthcare have large pharmacy benefits businesses that would reap considerable rewards. So I really, I made the decision 2 years ago to leave. I don't want the government involved in my healthcare. And I've always resented HMOs. They are not health maintenance organizations. They're healthcare costs maintenance organizations. They don't do anything to maintain your health. They discourage, in my opinion, people getting the care they need. That's my opinion. You know, and I have a right to my opinion. That's what it is. But you know, many of these doctors have watched patients leave. Patients who once brought their children to her, this one particular pediatrician was saying, to treat an ear infection or check for strep. Now they're just running into a CVS, an urgent care center, and seeing the nurse practitioner on the staff of the corporation. And, you know, many people are getting good care, but many doctors are realizing that corporations are taking over their business.
Yeah. So it's like the food, in a sense.
Corporatization.
Yeah.
And, you know, how we think. I personally believe we need to make sure we don't need to end up in those urgent care centers. We need to take,
right there.
I call it, you know, there's a picture in this thing. You've got a different article on there. Let's put this one up. You know, there's a nice picture the doctor is in, but, you know, Healthy Now, Convenient Care Clinic. What a good name. I like that alliteration, convenient care, holistic care clinics. You know, let's look at the whole person. Let's look at you holistically. Let's do it in a safe way. I think we're going to see a trend towards more and more people creating their own healthcare teams.
That's true.
Let's take a break here, and then we'll come back with some other news you can use.
We'll be back. Right back, folks.
There are 5 reasons traders and investors fail to spot bear markets. It's a set of 5 very specific patterns that have preceded every bear market during the last 130 years. I'm Steve Rhodes, author of Mastering Probability and the #1 market timer in the nation as ranked by Timers Digest for the S&P 500 for the last 3, 6, and 12 months. You see, timing is everything. And on Wednesday, April 11th at 5 p.m., I'm going to share with subscribers exactly how to time the next bear market. Look, the last 3 bears averaged a decline of 49%, which means you've got to earn 82% just to make your money back. Wouldn't it be easier to avoid the next bear market altogether? Sure, countless experts tell you that markets can't be timed, but what they're really saying is that they can't time the markets. So let me teach you how. Sign up for Mastering Probability by coming to the homepage of TFNN.com to begin your 30-day money-back guaranteed trial membership and learn the exact tools that I use to time the markets. And if you can't attend live, don't worry, because the workshop will be archived on your members page for the next 30 days. Don't let that next bear market eat your porridge. Sign up today.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates for my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get 'em, folks.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
And welcome back to the show. You know, Paige, for the last decade or so, I've been using ceramic pans. And I like them. They're easy to clean, non-stick surface. There's no polymers on it or anything like that. But they do have a tendency, for breakfast, especially the small pan, I tend to knock it around a little bit and it get cracks in it. And this is the third one I've had, and there's a little crack in it, and then it makes a mess on the stove. So I was thinking of going back, and I ordered a cast iron skillet, the small skillet. And I've used cast iron for many years back
So did
in
our
the
grandmas.
days. Yeah, exactly. And I used it just for that reason, macrobiotic cooking, and then I learned how to season the cast iron so nothing would stick to it. And I had a nice big one for many years where I cooked my vegetables and meats in.
I buy them when I see them at garage sales because they're usually already seasoned and
That's
used.
right, yeah. So the one I bought from Amazon is already seasoned, but I know that the seasoning that they use is not going to be as good as I would do it. So I thought I'd just go over some of the things. Cast iron is a strange mixture of incredible durable and unusually delicate, especially for cooking implement. The metal is physically sturdy, but also has a high reactive rate, and also means that even a drop of water can get a little rust spot on it, so you can never submerge it and leave water in it because
Yeah,
of that
so this
little rust.
coating of oil is actually what is called the seasoning.
Yes.
And, you know, modern pans, unlike the vintage stuff, almost always comes pre-seasoned. That's a huge convenience, but, you know, we need to learn how to do it ourselves, and you have to follow a few steps. The first step is you wash out the pan.
Yeah.
You know, you may have heard that you should never use soap on cast iron. That's not entirely true. A well-seasoned skillet has enough of a coating that a little surfactant won't hurt it. Still, in general, plain water is the way to go.
That's for sure. But when you're first seasoning it, if you want to clean it with the soap and water, that's not a problem.
And you should dry it thoroughly. Step 2, dry the skillet with a paper towel, and if you want to be really thorough, pop it in the stove or oven or heat to kind of make sure the moisture is out of it, since it is reactive and it can rust easily.
And then you put the whatever you're going to use. I usually use sesame oil. They recommend here, I think, some kind of vegetable oil. I wouldn't use corn oil or vegetable oil. There's no
Technically,
vegetable
any oil or fat would do the trick. Why wouldn't you use lard?
Lard could be good too.
Well, I mean, because it's a saturated fat, it's, you know, but the you know, it's important. And then you're going to heat your pan to over 400 degrees, so any fat with a low smoke point will fill your oven and house with haze. So you want a high smoke point. So you want a high. So again,
The
vegetable
lard
oils
would
are
be
not
good.
your choice.
Definitely not.
I mean, it's an oxymoron.
And,
here, what they're
and even
saying.
if you use some of the other oils, they have to be refined, you know, so they can stand that heat. Because normally, that's right.
You know, you really want a patina of fat. Make sure to coat the whole surface inside and out. Rub it all in until you know it no longer looks greasy. If you leave too much fat on the cast iron, you'll form pools and you end up with hardened droplets.
Yeah, you don't want that for sure.
So then you want to heat the whole pan in the oven.
Yeah, usually we turn it upside down. And
Right.
then you put a cookie sheet underneath it, maybe?
Yeah.
So anything that drips
Like
is caught.
450 upside down with another pan beneath it. And if you turn off the oven and leave the pan in there to cool, you know. And it's really important. It's going to be hot when you take it out, but take care of your cast iron. And one of the things I want to tell you is that we were talking about, what if things change? What if we have resources? What if the weather changes our electric grid? Well, your cast iron you can use on a fire pit.
That's right.
Not some of these, you know, fancy
Yeah,
schmancy.
and of course, one of the claims was before that cast iron will give you a little bit of iron.
I tell you what I will tell you is I'm not real concerned about that. I think we have more of a situation of iron
Yeah,
overload.
there's so little actually. That,
Yeah, it is, but you know, the question is, would a little bit of iron be good for us? Now, I like iron that comes through a plant or an animal, not elemental iron. But is it better than some of these non-stick pans that have 150 chemicals in them?
Yeah, those
I think
polymers
so.
are not good for us at all.
Yeah, right.
They do calve off too. So I think it's a good idea to stick with good pans. The ceramic I've been happy with, except for that one thing where maybe it's my fault.
And if you have a cast iron pan, guys, you want to make sure you don't use
Water.
acidic products in them. You know, that's even though it would look really nice to have that beautiful black pan with some simmering spaghetti sauce or marinara, it's not going to be good for your seasoning that you worked hard to do. Hey guys,
Thanks
that is our show. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his Opening Call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the Opening Call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.